Oh, hi, Fancy fans! Welcome back to Flights of Fancy. I'm Sarah, and today I'm really excited to show you my latest watercolor. I did a poll amongst my friends to see which nostalgic video game character from the 90s I should draw, and the answer came up unanimously, almost, as Samus from Super Metroid. I did Zero Suit Samus, which of course puts me in mind of Super Smash Bros., which is actually the only game that I've played with her in it. So this portrait is kind of more influenced by the Super Smash Bros. Version of Zero Suit Samus. Anyways, we'll get right to it. Enjoy!
Okay, here we go with the composition. It took me a sec to figure out where I wanted to have all her limbs, where it would be most natural to have her leg and her arm while she's flying through the air and using this blaster at the same time. It looks like she's in one of her mid-air jumps and blasting downwards. And so I have her hair flying up and her one arm out for balance. The later versions of the Super Smash Bros. Zero Suit Samus, I noticed, had these sort of strange heels, which I feel like maybe they're like from her suit that help her jump or something like that, but I went ahead and included those. For the pins, I'm using some microline pins, which I'll put in the comments, but they are microline brand in several thicknesses and the Faber-Castell B, which is a brush point. And as I said, I'll put those in the comments. They do not smear or smudge or run in the watercolor, which is extra nice. I use the brush one to do the nice thick outlining, which I just think gives it a really fun look. It really makes it pop, especially if you're going to leave it black and white. It really kind of shows you the outline of whatever it is that you're drawing. And I went in with a slightly thicker pen as well to highlight some of the inner lines within the drawing, like around her hairline, around the suit, and her gloves and so forth. And I'm almost immediately ready to do the watercolor. Did a very thin wash of yellow for her blonde hair, and then darkened it up a little bit with a smidge of brown. Did a very light shading texture while it dries. While that dries, I'm doing her face, and that has to dry so that I can do her eyebrows and any shading. While that dries, I'm doing her suit, and her suit is a light blue and a dark blue, so I basically used the same color. Sorry, I just wanted to get in that scritchy brush noise. I used a watered down blue and went ahead and colored in the whole suit. Shaded the parts that are going to remain light blue, and then once that had a second to dry, I used much more blue. I used a more saturated blue. It's the same blue but with more pigment in it to do the dark blue. And doing the shading in several layers. Put down some pigment, kind of use a water or a dry brush to feather out the hard edges. And then once that has a second to dry, I can go back again and just layer and layer and layer, make the shadows darker and darker as I go. And here her face tone dried, but not all the way, just a little bit. Enough to do some shading, blush, lips, eyes, etc. without it bleeding. And while that's drying, I can go in with the dark blue. And kind of color and shade as I go. I got the first little spot a little too saturated with pigment, so I can go back and pick up extra paint with the brush and transfer it to another spot. In case you get one spot that's too puddly, you can always just dry off your brush soak up your puddle and then put the color someplace else. And I'm going back again to the light blue to shade it even more. I kind of wanted a lot of the light, not all, but a lot of the light to be coming from her blaster fire. But there's like light coming from all around the subject, so you just need a little bit of shading in there just to make things pop a little more. But basically she's lit from all around. That's what's fun about shading. Like, you think about where your light source is coming from, but it's never always just one lamp or anything. You can make it hard or soft as you want, but it always brings a little something extra to your composition to make sure there's some shading in there. For her boots, I did a bluish black, and then, for her blaster, I put down a little water first, and then I put down some pigment. I did a black and a blue black to give it a little extra, and I didn't spend a super lot of time on it, but you can kind of get that sort of metal texture by letting your colors bleed a little bit. And I had so much fun drawing her blaster fire here, and I used a reference shot, and it came out pretty different in watercolor, but also so fun. I was able to make it textured and colorful, and just like this exploding, ray of light coming from her blaster that I just did more all over the page for the background here. Some more crazy Smash Brothers explosions going on from other people's powers and blasters in different colors, and so that was so much fun to do in watercolor because you could just go nuts. I tried to have like a whitish center exploding out, and I did like the flicks of color too, just for the texture, and it was so much fun. And then the other fun thing I did was to take some gold mica and mix it with clear fingernail polish and paint on this metallic gold pop of color. And I went ahead and just put that in her hair too, since I had some extra, and in the explosions, just for a little extra something. And there we have it. That was so much fun to do. I cannot wait for my next character drawing.
Alright everybody, if you enjoyed that, subscribe for more geeky content. And we'll catch you next time.
Alright everybody, if you liked that, subscribe for more content, and we'll catch you next time.
Content? Now there's people going by.